All right, let's talk about a composer who basically looked at the rulebook for music and decided to just flip the entire script. We're diving into the story of a total original, a guy named Claude Debussy. I mean, think about it, right? Whether it's at school, in sports, or even when you're playing a video game, sometimes the coolest stuff happens when you just try something totally new, something that's definitely not in the instruction manual. Well, over 100 years ago, there was this one guy who did exactly that. But his game was music. So, this is the guy, Claude Debussy. And listen, he wasn't just some amateur messing around. He was a legit pro. He started at the super famous Paris Conservatoire when he was only 10 years old. So he knew every single rule for how to write music, which honestly made it even crazier when he decided to just, break all of them. Okay, so to really get why Debussy was such a rebel, you gotta understand the rules he was breaking in the first place. So let's take a look at what music actually sounded like before he showed up and changed everything. So music back then was, well, it was really predictable. It followed these super strict forms and had all these clear rules. Think of it like playing a video game where you can only ever use the default character and the default settings. I mean, it works, sure, but it's always the same thing. Debussy looked at that and was like, nah, I want to unlock some new levels. He wanted music to be all about creating a feeling, a mood, a whole atmosphere. So, how did he pull it off? Well, Debussy came up with this whole new toolbox of musical ideas. You can honestly think of them like hacks or cheat codes that he used to create a sound that nobody, and I mean nobody, had ever heard before. His #1 cheat code was something called the whole tone scale. It's actually a pretty simple idea. It's just a scale made up of only whole steps. But man, it created this totally strange, super dreamlike sound. It's like he installed a mod that gave him a completely new sound palette to play with in the game of music. And he had a bunch of other tricks, too. He'd use these harmonies that didn't resolve. You know that feeling when you're watching a TikTok and it cuts off right at the best part? That's what he did with music. He just left you hanging. He also made up brand new chords, used these really flexible, flowing rhythms, and focused way more on the overall tone color and vibe of the music than on just a simple, catchy melody. So what was the point of inventing all these new hacks? Well, he wanted to do something absolutely amazing. He wanted to paint pictures and create moods using only sound. This new style got called musical impressionism. It actually took its name from painters like Monet, who were doing the same thing with light and color. They were trying to capture a feeling, not just a perfect photograph. Okay, probably the easiest way to think about impressionism is to imagine a filter you'd use on Instagram or TikTok. You know how one filter can instantly change the entire mood and vibe of a video? Well, Debussy basically figured out how to do that with music. He created a sonic filter that could make you feel a specific way, instantly. And his biggest inspiration, his main subject for all these sound paintings, was the natural world. He was totally obsessed with trying to capture the sounds and the feelings of water, wind, moonlight, all of it in his music. For example, take one of his most famous pieces ever, Clair de Lune. When you actually listen to it, it doesn't just sound pretty. It feels like the quiet, magical shimmer of moonlight. He was literally painting with sound. And then you've got this massive, powerful piece for a whole orchestra called La Mer, which just means the sea. This isn't just some little tune about the ocean. No, this is like the epic soundtrack for the open-world ocean level in a video game. You can totally hear the waves crashing, the quiet, mysterious moments, and just the immense power of the water. And one more, a piece called Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. This one is all about the mood. It just creates this lazy, hazy, super dreamy atmosphere of a mysterious afternoon somewhere in a forest. It's pure vibe. So why does any of this even matter today? Because Debussy's rule-breaking didn't just end with him making some cool-sounding music. It completely leveled up the entire world of music, forever. Seriously, you can trace a direct line from him to the music you hear every single day. First, he breaks the rules. That inspires a whole generation of other composers to start experimenting. Then, his unique chords and harmonies become a massive influence on the creation of jazz music. And finally, his whole style of creating moods and atmospheres becomes the blueprint for modern movie soundtracks. Yeah, the sound of your favorite film score, it's got Debussy in its DNA. So, when you boil it all down, what's the one crucial thing you got to take away from all of this? What's the bottom line? It's this. By breaking the old rules, Debussy taught all the musicians who came after him that there were absolutely no limits to what sound could do. He showed everyone that music didn't have to just follow a formula. It could be about creating feelings, painting pictures, and building entire worlds just with sound. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Whether it's in the art you make, at school, a hobby you have, or something else completely, what are the rules in your world that are just sitting there, waiting for someone like you to come along and completely reimagine them?